Hi there, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Weather Network. It is Monday, it is January the 5th, 2015. I'm Emily Vukovic.
I'm Tom Reynolds. Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a good holiday season and getting back into the fray. And unfortunately, it's not a particularly good morning to be out there driving to work, and a lot of people will be returning after some time off.
Yeah, work, school, and we've got watches and warnings. We've got a snow squall watch and a snow squall warning in place. Not so much. I mean, in Toronto, we're only looking at about 2 centimeters, but those 2 centimeters could certainly be enough to make roads slip when you've got temperatures dropping the way we do. We'll talk more about your long range, let you know about the rest of the week, but first, here's Tom with traffic. Well, here are the bands that Tom was just mentioning. This one is a little bit more stationary. This one's up near Barrie, and that's going to be kind of the trend all day today. We've got our winds starting to shift slightly, so the squalls will start to ease, but we're still going to see some scattered flurries and really cold temperatures for the next couple of days, so make sure you bundle up. For the long-range forecast, we're looking at squalls tapering off, and we may finally even see some sunshine, but temperatures by Wednesday, look at that overnight low, -21. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Active weather coverage here on the Weather Network. It is Monday. It's the 5th of January. I'm Emily Vukovic.
I'm Tom Reynolds, and Happy New Year. Getting back to the routine of getting people out the door and off to work and school. And it's going to be a little treacherous out there, not only as you step out onto the sidewalk, but the roads as well. Yeah,
we do have watches and warnings in place. We have a snow squall watch and a Kitchener closer to 5 centimeters. So some areas getting hit more than others, depending on these squalls and the winds shifting. But regardless, it is going to be cold everywhere. We'll talk more about the rest of the week, but first, here's Tom. Squalls, wind, and cold. That's pretty much what we can explain today using. We've got that very persistent squall coming in through Barrie throughout the day today. Other areas, the models aren't picking them up as well, but they're still there. Through tonight and into tomorrow morning, the squalls will ease, but we will still be seeing some scattered flurries. Into the long-range forecast, well, we'll finally see some sunshine, but that high, it's an Arctic high, and it is going to be cold. By Wednesday overnight, feeling like -21. Okay, everybody can be jealous now. If you really wanted to get away from the cold and go to somewhere warm, well, let's join Deb Meteorological. She is in Arizona. It's cold and it's windy. We've got wind gusts right now close to 60 kilometers an hour through the city of Toronto, and through Hamilton closer to 45, up through Newmarket closer to 34 kilometers an hour. Watches and warnings are in place pretty much all of southern Ontario, except if you go a little bit further down towards Windsor. But as far south through Kitchener, we do have a snow squall watch in place, Uxbridge, Barrie through Caledon. Everybody's in the warning, so we're seeing squalls right now coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay with those northwesterly winds. The squall up near Barrie looks to be quite stationary. It doesn't want to go anywhere. So it looks as though places are in and around Barrie certainly going to be seeing the heaviest amounts of snow traveling up through Owen Sound. We're looking at 15 plus centimeters. Barrie, the potential is there for about 15. Downtown Toronto, we're only looking at about 2 centimeters, but still enough to make the roads slick. Kitchener could pick up closer to 5. Same deal for Guelph and in through Waterloo. We are going to continue to see these squalls throughout the day today. They'll taper tonight, but it is still going to be incredibly cold. Hi there, good morning. Thanks for joining us in our active weather coverage right here on the Weather Network. It's Monday, it is the 5th of January. I'm Emily Vukovic.
And I'm Tom Reynolds, and return to work, return to school. A lot of nasty conditions out there. We've got ice and snow and blowing conditions and the wind. That's really the big problem out there.
Snow squall watches and warnings in place. Folks, now through Newmarket, we're looking at about 5 centimeters. In the downtown core, we're only looking at about 2, but still, roads are going to be slick. For more on your traffic, here's Tom. Really, 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 really cold. That's how it's looking. We're still going to see these squalls coming in off of Huron and Georgian Bay. They're going to continue to be a bit of a nuisance throughout the afternoon. They'll start to taper off through the evening when the winds start to shift, but it is going to be absolutely frigid throughout the day tomorrow. And we think it's cold tomorrow. Wednesday is going to be even colder. By Wednesday overnight, it's actually going to feel like the -20s. But we do have some sunshine in the forecast. That area of high pressure, don't let it fool you because it is a Arctic high. It is going to be bringing in very, very cold air. For example, tomorrow we're looking at -7, feels like -13. And then by Wednesday, feeling closer to -21. Very, very cold. If you want to escape the cold, go to somewhere warm, like Deb Meteorological. She joins us from Arizona. Well, before I get to temperatures, let's continue talking about these squalls. We do have a snow squall watch and a snow squall warning in place. Now, the warning is in the darker blue, Wyerton, Barrie, in through Uxbridge over towards Oshawa. That streamer coming right across Lake Huron and in through Georgian Bay. The Georgian Bay one that's hitting Barrie, that's going to stick around for a long time. Toronto, we're not in a watch or a warning. We're kind of protected in this nice little bubble, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see any snow to make roads slick in our area. We are going to continue to see these squalls on and off throughout the day. Here's some of the winds that Tom was mentioning. In most city areas, we're not looking at those gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour like they are on the Skyway, but still close to 60 kilometers an hour through Toronto, close to 45 through Orangeville, close to 34 through Newmarket. You get the idea. It's pretty gusty. And it's cold. With this snow, Barrie could pick up about 15 centimeters. Through Orangeville, we're looking closer to 5. Through Kitchener, through Stratford, again, 5 centimeters, quite possible. Downtown core, 2 centimeters, but again, roads are going to be slick and temperatures will be dropped. Hi there, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on the Weather Network. I'm Emily Vukovic, taking a look at the active weather that we do have right across southern Ontario. It's Monday, it is January the 5th, and winter has arrived. Honestly, we are in such a deep freeze this week. By Wednesday, it's actually going to feel like the minus 20s. Ugh, no thanks. Get your parka ready. We do have watches and warnings in place. The warnings imminent or occurring through Wyerton, through Barrie, over towards Uxbridge, through Oshawa. The watches in through Kitchener-Waterloo, through Guelph, all the way over towards Grand Bend, Toronto. We're protected. We're protected by our nice little bubble, which is good. And looking at the radar, you can see the squalls very intense through Owen Sound and in through Barrie. This squall looks as though it's going to stay quite stationary throughout most of the day today. We are going to continue to see snowfall on and off. We're looking at about 15 centimeters through the Barrie area. Toronto only picking up about 2. So that's still enough to make roads pretty slick. The temperatures and the wind, it's going to feel much colder. We're looking at temperatures today around minus 8, but feeling closer to minus 18. This wind map that I'm showing you will show sustained winds. So we're looking at sustained winds anywhere between 20 to 40 kilometers an hour. Of course, with gusts much higher than that. The winds are going to continue to be strong throughout the day today. They'll start to ease tonight and then throughout the day tomorrow. Squalls will taper, but as you can see, the model's really picking up on that Barrie squall. So that's the stationary one. A little bit of cloud cover throughout the day tomorrow, but temperatures, I think that's really going to be our big story. By Wednesday, it's going to feel like the minus 20s. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Tom. He's got an update on your commute. Watches and warnings in place throughout Ontario. We've got snow squall watch and a snow squall warning. Toronto is in neither. We're kind of protected in this nice little bubble. We do have those intense squalls coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay. The winds certainly aren't helping things, gusting closer to 55 kilometers an hour through Toronto, gusting closer to 36 kilometers an hour through Newmarket. As you can see on the radar, the bands, they're quite stationary, especially just north of Barrie, and areas around there could pick up anywhere between 15 and 20 centimeters of snow. So skiers, boarders, you'll be thrilled about that. If you're trying to commute, not so much, because as Tom was mentioning, you could see a lot of whiteout conditions on the 407, the 408. I mean, it's not a good drive, that's for sure. So Kitchener, we're looking at about 5 centimeters today. Toronto picking up only closer to 2, but still that's going to be enough with these winds to make it feel a lot slicker. Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of. It's Monday. 20 to 40 kilometer an hour sustained winds, and temperatures are going to be frigid. Hi there, good morning. It's Monday. It's January the 5th. Thanks so much for joining us in our active weather coverage. I'm Emily Vukovic.
And I'm Tom Reynolds, and you'll be glad you're not in Saskatoon. Because it feels like really cold out there. Oh boy, it's freezing out west, but we are cold, but not even close to that.
Well, there's extreme cold weather alerts pretty much right across the country. That it kind of excludes southern Ontario. I mean, they're in through Quebec, they're across the prairies, even in through BC. Places like Squamish have picked up about 20 centimeters of snow.
We're in a balmy zone.
Yeah, we're actually warm in comparison. We do have watches and warnings in place, however, up closer to 5 to 15 centimeters. It's really going to depend on the strength of that band and how long it continues to be stationary. We'll talk more about our cold temperatures in just a few moments, but first, Tom, what's going on the roads? Well, the squall is quite stationary, especially the one over Georgian Bay, hitting Barrie and in through Owen Sound. Now, once those taper off, this evening, we are going to start to see a little bit of a clearing trend. It's not going to be perfect for tomorrow, but we will see a little bit more sunshine. Temperatures are going to be absolutely frigid. We are looking at temperatures by Wednesday feeling closer to the -20s when you factor in that wind, because you see this high pressure and you think, oh great, we're going to see some sunshine, maybe it'll warm up. No, that's not the case. This is an Arctic high, so it is coming in from the north. It is bringing with it a lot of cold air. So yes, it is bringing some sunshine, but take a look at some of these temperatures. We're looking at -7, feeling like -13 tomorrow. By Wednesday, feeling closer to -21. And then it warms up, but it's certainly not going to feel like it. Well, we do have watches and warnings in place for these squalls, so it is going to be fairly intense on and off throughout the day today. Through Wyerton and in through Barrie over towards Uxbridge and Oshawa, that is where we do have the warning, so imminent or occurring, and then the other areas will the watch in through Kitchener and Waterloo, through Guelph and in through Cambridge. There are those winds that Tom was just mentioning, gusting up to 62 kilometers an hour through the city of Toronto, gusting up to about 41 kilometers an hour through Orangeville. The squall is staying quite stationary right over the Barrie area. You can see the intensity of them coming off the shores of Huron and Georgian Bay. Snowfall amounts, they really vary. The closer you are to the lakes, the more snow you're going to see. And through Barrie, we could pick up about 15 centimeters. That squall is going to stay quite stationary throughout the day today. Temperatures also are going to be quite cold, feeling closer to -18. Hi there, good morning. Welcome back to The Grind. It's Monday. It is the 5th of January. Thanks so much for joining us as our active weather coverage continues. I'm Emily Vukovic.
And I'm Tom Reynolds. I was just getting used to sleeping in, too.
Oh, me too.
Oh, boy. I tell you, getting back into the fray. And, of course, the winter weather is blowing. Closures in a number of areas, too. A lot of school buses canceled.
Well, we do have watches and warnings in place for...
not even frozen at all. Last year,
close.
they were 19 up to 40% frozen by this time last year.
Yeah, so that's certainly adding fuel to the squalls. All right, we've got Kevin Yard. I don't even know where he is, but wherever you are, Kevin, it looks cold. Squalls. They're going to continue through the majority of the day, especially that band coming in through the Barrie Owen Sound area. That's going to be intense. It's become quite stationary. Some areas could pick up 15, possibly 20 centimeters of snow. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, things will start to clear. Not to say that we're not going to be seeing a few isolated flurries, because we will be. But I think our big story for the remainder of the week is not so much active weather. It's going to be the really, really cold temperatures. By Wednesday, it is actually going to feel like -20. All right, you want to warm up? Why not head to Arizona? That is where we join Deb Medichka. Watches and warnings in that area as well. In through Huntsville and Minden, we're looking at a snow squall watch. The warnings further south and west through Wyerton, Barrie, over towards Uxbridge and Oshawa. It's literally one streamer that is just making its way right across with the winds that Tom was mentioning. We're now seeing gusts in Toronto up to 62 kilometers an hour. Here's that streamer coming right across the lake, right into the Oshawa area. It is going to continue on and off throughout the day today. Up through the Barrie area, we could see 15 centimeters. Watches and warnings in place. Snow squall watch, snow squall warning, depending on where you are. It is certainly going to be worse. Kevin, well, he's around here. He's going to continue to see that snow. Throughout the day today, that band has become quite stationary, and it is very windy in some areas as well. Through Kitchener, we're seeing gusts close to 66 kilometers an hour. Now, these bands that are coming off the lakes through Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, on and off throughout the day today, but as Kevin was mentioning, 10 to 15 centimeters up in Barrie. Certainly not out of the question. We're looking at close to 2 centimeters for the city of Toronto. So not a ton of snow, but enough to make the road slick, and it's going to be very cold. -18 is what it'll feel like in Toronto. All right, thanks so much, Kevin. I kind of feel bad for Kevin today.
I don't. It's
I do.
Nice snowfall.
It's very pretty. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But it's cold. If it wasn't for the, -18 wind chill.
Well, I'd feel bad for him if he was in Saskatoon.
Because it's -50?
Exactly. Then I'd be feeling very sorry.
Truth.
Yeah.
All right, well, we do have watches and warnings. There's possible 15 plus through Owen Sound. GTA, as Kevin was mentioning, a couple of centimeters, but it is going to be cold. How cold will it get? Details just ahead. First, here's Tom. Well, we are going to continue to see these squalls coming off the lake for the better part of the day. And you can see this forecast model is really picking up the one coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay. Now, we are going to continue to see these squalls tapering off throughout the overnight and then throughout the day tomorrow. Temperatures certainly going to be cold, but not as cold as today. Where we start to get really, really cold is throughout the day on Wednesday. Now, our daytime high is actually going to be first thing in the morning, and then temperatures are going to be dropping throughout the day. By Wednesday, it is going to feel closer to the -20s. A long time for the remainder of the week. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Let's just put it that way. Watches and warnings are in place throughout southern Ontario for these squalls that we're picking up over the shores of Huron and Georgian Bay. It's windy. Wind gusts up to about 55 kilometers an hour through Toronto, 62 kilometers an hour through Kitchener. Here's the radar. You can see those squalls just south of Owen Sound, through the Owen Sound area, north of Barrie, and right through the town of Barrie as well. And they're going to continue for the better part of the day. They've become quite stationary, and that is why Owen Sound and Barrie are looking to see anywhere between 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. Some areas could see a little bit higher as well locally. Orangeville closer to the 5 centimeter range, but Stratford and through Kitchener, well, closer to the 5 to 10 centimeter range. We're looking at about 2 centimeters through the downtown core. With the winds and the snow and the blowing snow, today is going to be a miserable day out on the roads, and it's going to be cold. By Wednesday, it's going to feel like the minus 20s. I get you, Kevin's pretty mad that he lost that rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess he probably is. I mean, he can't even open his eyes. He's got, you know, all kinds of snow and stuff happening.
You know what, though? A lot of people are thrilled about this snow. Boarders, skiers,
totally.
snowplow operators, anybody that makes a living off of this kind of stuff, they love it.
Absolutely.
Bring it on.
Winter's been taking its sweet time. The water isn't frozen, and of course that's enhancing these flurries. So
huge.
The ice fishery is way behind right now.
Yeah. According to Tommy's got an update on your morning commute. See where Kevin is standing? Literally right here. He's right in that squall. This one has decided to become quite stationary. Our forecast model is actually only picking that one up, even though we just saw on the radar the rest of them exist. This will continue through the evening, through the overnight. It'll start to taper off. Temperatures remaining very cold throughout the day today and into tomorrow. We are going to see some scattered flurries, but by Wednesday, Arctic high. It is going to be absolutely frigid. Temperatures feeling closer to the minus 20s. For most of the day, unfortunately, especially the ones up through the Barrie area where Kevin is standing, getting covered in snow. Through Barrie, through Uxbridge, Wyerton, everybody's got a snow squall warning in place, which means it's imminent or occurring, as you just saw. And then everywhere else just looks as though they've got a watch. But we're still seeing a lot of snow in a lot of places. We've got light snow downtown, but not a ton of accumulation. Winds are certainly going to be an issue, gusting to 62 kilometers an hour already through Kitchener. That can intensify throughout the day today. Owen Sound, Barrie, certainly the hardest hit areas. That is where we are seeing those stationary bands. Everything is going to be covered in snow by the end of today. We're looking at the potential for 10 to 15 centimeters. The winds are going to be sustained, 20 to 40, gusts between 60 and 70, as we've already seen. And it's going to be very cold. Temperatures today feeling closer to the minus teens, minus 18 for the city of Toronto.
The long range.
Watches and warnings in place for much of southern Ontario because of these squalls. Barrie through Uxbridge up through Wyerton, all in a warning, imminent or occurring squalls. Through Caledon, in through Kitchener, over towards Oshawa, Grand Bend, and Goddard. Everybody's in a watch. Winds are very strong. We're seeing our winds gusting anywhere between 60 and 70 kilometers an hour in some areas. In Toronto, gusting up to 55. These squalls are going to continue on and off through the majority of the day, but places like Barrie certainly going to be seeing the most snowfall in through the Barrie area. There is the potential for 10 to 15 centimeters.
Anyway.
It suits you very well, Kevin.
Looks like the abominable snowman. Oh. Yeah. It's whiteout conditions up on the 400 through that stretch, actually. Officers just closed down the North 400.
Really?
North of Bayfield. They have to try to get a car out of the ditch, so it's dangerous conditions, he said. Whiteout conditions in the 400, so don't go there.
The winds are bad. We'll show you the wind gusts in just a moment, but first, let's take a look at the watches and warnings to 15 up near Barrie. We'll talk more about the rest of the week and the cold temperatures in just a few moments, but first, here's Tom with traffic. Well, it is certainly going to be cold for the next few days, and this squall that we're seeing, it's happening right now. It is going to extend throughout much of the day today and into tonight. It will start to ease. Tomorrow we'll see a few isolated flurries, potentially some squall bands, but as you notice, our winds have shifted slightly. It is going to be so cold by Wednesday because of this Arctic air mass, the Siberian air mass. It is going to be so cold, it's actually going to feel like the minus 20s. Through Thursday, we've got more snow Thursday overnight into Friday. So the end of the week, your commute certainly could be tricky. Thanks, Tom. Well, we do have watches and warnings in place. The snow squall watch stretches through Waterloo, through Kitchener. We are seeing it up through Caledon as well. But the warning areas, Wyerton through Barrie, Uxbridge, Oshawa has now been downgraded to the watch, which is good news. You were in a warning earlier today. We're seeing winds picking up to about 60 kilometers an hour through the Toronto area. Throw in these squalls, add in the winds, and it is not a pretty drive today, that's for sure. Throw in some cold temperatures, and that makes it even worse. This squall has become quite stationary over the Barrie area, and there is the potential for about 15 centimeters of snow by the time it's all said and done. We're looking at close to 5 centimeters through Orangeville, downtown Toronto, closer to 2 centimeters. So, of course, the further north and west you go, the more snow you're going to see. We do have those streamers continuing throughout the afternoon, then starting to taper off. Temperatures are still going to be absolutely frigid today, feeling closer to minus 18. Hi there, good morning. Thanks for joining us here in our active weather coverage on the Weather Network. I'm Emily Vukovic. It's Monday. It is the 5th of January. It is cold, and in some areas it is snowing a lot. We've got Kevin Yard. He's joining us up near the Barrie area. And Kevin, hopefully you can hear me, but I bet you're probably a little upset that you lost the game of rock, paper, scissors to me today, aren't you?
Get out of this.
All right, okay, well, Florida is much better than here, that's for sure, but it might take you a while to get there, especially traveling through southern Ontario. Watches and warnings in place, as you can see, fairly widespread. Almost everybody is going to be affected. Now, through the downtown core, as you can see, yeah, we're just kind of protected in that little bubble there. We're still going to see a couple of centimeters of snow, and it's going to be blowing around, and temperatures are going to be cold, so the roads could still potentially be quite slick, but it's certainly not as bad as it's going to be up through the Barrie area where Kevin is, possibly 15 centimeters of snow. Very, very gusty conditions, sustained winds 20 to 40 kilometers an hour. We could see some gusts 60 to 70. We already have through the Kitchener area and then through Toronto this morning. Overnight, they are going to start to ease, and throughout the day tomorrow, they're not going to be as bad. Looking at this forecast model, really picking up on the squall coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay. Not so much the rest of them, but we saw the radar. You could still see snow squalls to the south and to the west. They're going to taper throughout the day tomorrow, but I wouldn't rule out a few isolated flurries, and temperatures are going to drop dramatically. Throughout the day tomorrow, we're not going to be too cold. We're actually going to be a little bit warmer than we are today, but by Wednesday, this Arctic high starts to move into our region, and it is going to feel closer to the minus 20s when you factor in the wind. Thanks so much for that, Kim. I'm Emily Vukovic. It is Monday. It's the 5th of January. Thanks for joining us. We've been talking about wind, cold temperatures, and snow squalls. That's going to be the story for the next couple of days throughout southern Ontario. We have watches and warnings in place issued by Environment Canada. Warning through Wyerton, through Barrie, through Uxbridge. Oshawa has now been downgraded to a snow squall watch. Places in through Kitchener also into the watch, goes all the way over to Grand Bend and up through Goderich. We are going to be seeing these squalls on and off throughout the better part of the day, especially up towards the Barrie area. Now, some of those squalls could actually generate close to 15 centimeters of snow, so driving is certainly going to be tricky no matter where you are throughout southern Ontario. And we can thank these heavy bands. The model's really only picking up the one just north of Barrie, but that's not to say they aren't further south, because we know they are. We've been driving through them this morning. Temperatures staying quite cold throughout the day. Tomorrow could see a few isolated flurries. The big story this week is certainly going to be the cold temperatures. As you watch this long-range movie play out, you can actually see, well, there comes an area of high pressure. Is that a good thing? We're going to see some sunshine. Will temperatures warm up? No. Not at all, because that is an Arctic high. It is coming straight from the north, and it is bringing with it a lot of cold air. More specifically, for Thursday, could see some light snow again for Friday, but for the most part, our week relatively storm-free. -7 tomorrow, feeling like -13, and then take a look at the temperature on Wednesday. It's actually going to feel like a -21. Now, we do warm up slightly for Thursday and Friday, but not as much as it's going to warm up in Scottsdale, Arizona, where we join Deb. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Vukovic. It looks as though winter weather has arrived through southern Ontario. We do have snow squall watches and warnings in place. The warnings include Uxbridge through Barrie up towards Wyerton. The watches closer down to Guelph and in through Kitchener-Waterloo. Oshawa also in a watch. Toronto protected by a nice little bubble. We're not in anything, which is good news, but we're still going to see a little bit of snow. I mean, we're not getting off scot-free, that's for sure. A couple of centimeters could certainly make driving conditions quite slick, especially with our temperatures dropping throughout the day. We are going to be seeing heavier snowfall through Owen Sound over toward Barrie, we're looking at about 10 to 15 centimeters. Add the wind in that, it's not going to be a pleasant day to be outside or driving, that's for sure. Winds are going to be sustained anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers an hour with higher gusts closer to 60, possibly even upwards of 70 kilometers an hour, depending on where you are. We are going to continue to see these streamers coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay for the majority of the day. They're going to be kind of on and off, on and off. The model's not picking up the ones necessarily to the south, but they're still there. We can see them on our cameras. We can see them on the radar. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, temperatures are going to be quite cold as well. Not as cold as today, but by Wednesday, that is when we really start to feel the chill. We've got an area of high pressure moving in. You're thinking, oh, well, that's not too bad. Might be sunny, might be mild. Not the case. It's an Arctic high, so it is bringing with it a lot of cold air. We're talking temperatures by Wednesday feeling closer to the minus 20s. Thursday, -8, and Friday, a little bit of snow and -7. If you'd really like to warm up, why not head to Arizona? That is where we join Deb Meteorological. Hi there. Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on our active weather coverage right here on the Weather Network. I'm Emily Vukovic. It's Monday. It is January the 5th, 2015. Happy New Year. Welcome back to work. Welcome back to school, and welcome back to winter. It's absolutely frigid in many communities throughout southern Ontario. Kevin Yard is joining us up from the Barrie area, and we've got Mike Arsenault. He's joining us in Georgetown. Mike, you're looking all bundled up. You've got to be cozy in those -10 wind chills. All right, thanks so much, Mike. That's some really good advice, because a lot of people just don't have their winter driving skills about them yet, because really, let's face it, we haven't had much of a winter. And since we had mild conditions over the holidays, we had a green Christmas for the city of Toronto. Even up in Ottawa, where I was, there was barely any snow on the ground left. I mean, we saw daytime highs of 7, 8 degrees. Now, different story. Snow squall watch, snow squall warning in place, as Mike was mentioning. Georgetown is in the watch. Wyerton, Barrie, Uxbridge, all in the warning right now, and tons of snow coming in through the Barrie area. And by the end of the day, we're looking at 15 potential centimeters. It's going to be bad through Owen Sound. Downtown core, we're only looking at a couple of centimeters, but with the winds, as you can see, it's going to be sustained 20 to 40 kilometers an hour, gusts 60 to 70. It is going to make being outside very unpleasurable this afternoon, that's for sure. The winds will start to ease throughout the day tomorrow, but today it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, and we've got strong bands coming up through the Barrie area throughout the day today. Tomorrow, I wouldn't rule out the chance of a few isolated flurries, some squalls continuing. By Wednesday, that is when things really start to change. Yes, we will see some sunshine, but it is going to be frigid. Temperatures into the -20s when you factor in the wind, and temperatures are just going to be dropping throughout the day. So when you're getting out of work on Wednesday afternoon, it's going to be really cold. We're looking at temperatures into the -teens, potentially feeling like the mid-20s. Sunshine, yes, for a couple of days. We're looking at -7 tomorrow. There's that -12. That's going to be an early day high, feeling closer to -21. We warm up for Thursday, Friday, but it's not going to feel like it much. We're looking at temperatures still going to be into the -teens. In Hamilton, we're still going to see some flurries tomorrow, feeling like -20 by Wednesday. You want to warm up? Head to Arizona. That's where we join Deb Meteorological. Hi there. Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on the Weather Network. I'm Emily Vukovic. It's Monday. It is the 5th of January, 2015. Happy New Year. Certainly bringing in some wintry-like weather, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look back. We actually saw some rain over the weekend of today. We've got snow squall watches and warnings in place. The warnings through Barrie, through Wyerton, down towards Uxbridge. Oshawa is now in a watch in through Caledon, Kitchener, Guelph, through Waterloo, Grand Bend, and Goderich. Everybody's in a watch. We're seeing those bands coming off the lakes. I'll show you the radar in the movie in just a few moments. But snowfall amounts, we're looking at about 10 to 15 centimeters through Barrie, so fairly significant. Downtown Toronto, 2 centimeters, so not a ton of snow, but enough to make the road slick when we do have falling temperatures throughout the day today. Our -8, -9 is going to feel closer to -18 when you factor in the wind. Very, very cold. Bundle up, cover exposed skin. Throughout the day today, you can see how stationary that band is. It's really the only one that the model's picking up on, but we are seeing them a little bit further south. They're going to continue for the better part of the day. Then they will start to taper through tonight and into through the day tomorrow. We'll still see a few isolated flurries here and there. But the big story for the remainder of the week is going to be this Arctic high. Temperatures are going to get frigid. We're talking like minus 12, feeling closer to minus 21 on Wednesday for the city of Toronto. We will see some sunshine, yes. By Thursday and into Friday, another shot of snow. And then through the weekend, well, we are going to be seeing some sunshine, but really, really cold temperatures. That minus 12 that you're seeing on Wednesday, that's going to be kind of an early day high. As the day goes on, temperatures are actually going to be dropping. So potentially by the time you're driving home, it could be minus 15, feeling more like minus 25. And it's going to be cold throughout the GTA. Joining me, meteorologist Dr. Doug Gillum. It is like the return to winter. All of a sudden, we went from fall-like conditions, spring-like conditions to this.
Yes, we are being visited by the ghost of winter past, specifically last winter. Temperatures this week will certainly be reminiscent of what we saw last winter. The question is, how long does it last?
Well, I know Wednesday's looking like one of the coldest days. I mean, it's going to feel like the minus 20s.
Yes, we may even approach minus 30.
Oof.
We have a weather pattern that allows a couple rounds of Arctic air, actually Siberian air, to dive into the region. Now, with this jet stream pattern, we don't have any storm systems coming out of the southern U.S., just dealing with clippers, so no major snowfalls on the way, but a lot of lake effect snow, dangerous travel in places that are seeing those squalls with the strong winds, the cold temperatures, and the whiteout conditions. But here in the GTA, accumulation's not that significant as we go through the week, though keeping an eye on Thursday night. And as we get into next week, it looks a little bit better. Pacific air will try to take over. Notice it says cool, not frigid.
Not frigid.
This is not a thaw.
Okay.
And so temperatures will approach seasonal for the middle of the week, but it looks like at least a quick shot of colder air in the middle of next week.
Okay, now the difference, just to bring us back a little bit, the difference between this year and last year with these snow squalls is that by this time last year, the lakes were partly, almost completely frozen, and this year, they're not at all.
Right, but that's going to change over the next week. We're going to see a lot of ice build up, but like you said, without the ice, we're going to see squalls on Wednesday, fairly quiet in the GTA, but bitterly cold wind chills in the afternoon. It's going to be minus 15 when you go for your commute home.
Oof.
Thursday and Thursday night, a clipper will be approaching our area 2 to 5 centimeters Thursday night, and Friday morning's commute could be rather difficult. Winds will be gusting 50 to 70 kilometers per hour, blowing that snow around. But as we go into Sunday and early next week, temperatures will approach seasonal. It'll feel a little better.
Good news and bad news scenario.